Song of Songs has been called the greatest hermeneutical challenge in the Old Testament. It does not fit neatly into any category. I typically talk about it in the category of wisdom because I think you might be able to sort of broadly think about it as indirect revelation, but it is a real difficult text to interpret. If you've read it before, you're not surprised by this. If you've read it before, you know that Songs is very frank in its discussion and celebration of human sexuality. It can make you very uncomfortable actually reading this psalm. Reading this book, the Song of Songs. The structure of it, the title of it, the Song of Songs, is actually the Hebrew superlative. It's the same kind of structure as Holy of Holies, in other words, most holy place. The Song of Songs is the most songiest song. You won't find any song any songier than this song. It's the songiest. There have been a number of interpretations about how to look at it. Some have suggested it could be a drama of 2 or 3 characters. We do have the lover and the beloved and the chorus of friends who typically show up and say inappropriate things. I'll let you discover that for yourself. It does have the different speaking parts, but the reality is the literary genre of drama was never fully developed in the Hebrews in the ancient Near East. So while I see it might be tempting to see it as a genre and give us that only example of that genre in the Old Testament, I don't know that that's the simplest and best explanation for it. Some have seen this as a collection of secular love songs, maybe Syrian wedding songs, maybe songs that were originally associated with some sort of Mesopotamian fertility cult liturgy that had been adapted, changed, and celebrated human celebration when put in the text. Maybe, don't know for sure. The third interpretation, the one I'll give you now, is the one that really got it into the Scripture. Songs has been seen as an allegory of Yahweh's love for Israel, and of course Christians have picked that up and seen it as an allegory of Christ's love for the church. It's read on Passover as an expression of God's commitment and love to Israel. It is Rabbi Akiba at the Council of Jamnia advocated for it. If the Hebrew Bible is the temple, then Song of Songs is the Holy of Holies, he said. So it was a way of seeing God's commitment. I will say that probably for, 1900 years, that's the interpretation that won the day. This is Yahweh's love for his people. Probably in the past 50 years, as society has gotten more comfortable talking about sexuality, you have seen churches more comfortable talking about songs in terms of that celebration of human love, these secular love songs, but placed in this context. I do think it's significant that human love is not a mark of evil for ancient Israel. It's not something that's hidden away. It's not something. There's a canonical book there in the text that talks about it. One interesting interpretation put out by Phyllis Tribble was that Song of Songs represents the properly restored relationship between the man and the woman, and she references Genesis 3:16, where part of the punishment of the fall was your desire will be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. In other words, you will desire your husband, but he's going to boss you around. And we see in Songs 7:10, the lover says, I am my beloved's, and his desire is for me. And so now that concern is reciprocated, and that this is the vision of a properly restored relationship between a man and a woman there. It's an interesting interpretation and one that we can be aware of. So, wanted you to know some of these elements of the Book of Songs.